Coming in live. Hi, Mask Flame Z. Seabell should be interesting. For the second battle of We Like Big Gates, probably not so much. Ah, that's very unfortunate. Battle's moving forward. Man. Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azuka here. I'm going to be bringing to you day 7 of the House Legion League. And today we have 3 battles, so BODS versus MJ, and we will be watching Eon versus Seabell, and later on we'll be watching WLBG versus TNK. That's whether or not if the playback system is working, so that should be interesting. If I remember correctly, one of the Seabell members is actually a caster. You are disallowed from actually watching your own thing. It would be interesting to see a 16v16. Always wondered if you could have more than the 15v15. What happens to the extra member? Do they load afterwards or load sooner? Nevertheless, day 7, we still have quite a few days left to go. We got up to 24th of the last battles. We should be then heading on to the next. Section after one more week of this. Actually, it's one more week, one more day. So we'll be seeing the knockout stage very shortly. I do think this format is pretty similar to what we're used to. We got the scoring phase, so they're separated to groups. They get to battle each other, see what top groups are doing. So I'm gonna see if I can pull up what the CBL current ranks are. Alrighty. So we do have the House Legion League. So for the scoring phase for Group A, before any of the battles today happen, we have BODS ranking at 9 points, 4 games won, 100% win. MJ coming in second, followed by BLK and SVS, all tied up with 8 points, followed by a 4 games won. In the next division, we have Group B, DVD scoring 13, 8 games won, 80%. This is pretty interesting considering that 8 games won, 80%. That means out of 10 games in total. Seabell has coming in second with 9 points, 4 games won. So DVD's getting a lot of battles. HNB coming in with 8.5 must have been a tiebreaker. A lot of tiebreakers kind of happened. How Eon scores on this, they're 5th on the ranking list, so I do think this will be a fairly straightforward win for Seabell, but we'll get to watch Seabell nonetheless. OPC coming in 4th though, so only winning 2 of their battles, 50%, so only 4 battles done. We have Group C going at CCT going ranking 1 with a score of 11, 6 games won with an 86% win. So we do have ECL coming in second from Group C, 9 points. 9 points with 4 games, 100% win, so only have 4 games under their belt. With rank 3, GW coming in with 7.5. Do you see that there is kind of like a game or two gap here? With only 5 games won, but a 56% win, so interesting. Then we have finally Vienna House coming in 4th with 7 points, 2 wins, 100% win, so they have not really gotten a chance to fight very much. Whack was disqualified, so that's why they have a null percentage by the looks of it. Group D as well, we got a lot of people, or we have Ahoy getting disqualified actually. So those guys from Group D, Ahoy got disqualified, so those guys won't get a chance. But anyway, Group D has DZ coming in first, 100%, and QAT coming in 100%, with CE coming in third after the 2 tied up for first rank here at 11 score. See if we get a DZ versus QAT later on. Should have a tiebreaker. We are very unfortunate if you don't end up having to fight the whole lineup. Yep. On the 23rd, we'll have DZ versus QAT. So even if they win all of their matches prior, they'll have a tiebreaker with the 2 top teams head-to-head there on the 23rd. That'll be interesting. Am I watching that one? Yes, I am. That's good. So I did choose a pretty good one. Generally, taking a look at the separation, I do think, I don't think there's very many high-tier teams coming out. I do think that Group D, showing the DZ and QAT coming out as kind of a strong contender from Group D. But for the rest of them, they're not really performing that well. However, in the Group A division, BODS is definitely just kind of wiping the floor with all of their competitors. I do think they are above and beyond stronger than the rest of the team. So as you can see, they'll pull away further and further as more and more games are played. DVD is strangely enough at the top, mainly because of how many games played. So I do think that CBEL will take top ranking eventually, considering that they're still at 100% win rate. And if the rest of the teams are fairly weak, I don't think DVD has a terribly good showing. I think they got really lucky versus in one of their battles, if I remember correctly. Not really been keeping up with Group C by the looks of it. We don't get very many battles, in fact. I think we don't get very many battles at all from Group C. Nevertheless, we have the beginning of the first battle between Eon versus CBEL here on White Elk Fort. We have Eon attacking. They're a JC team. We do have quite the lineup, if I do say so. We got Bordebraccio with the monks being selected. Lots of heavy armor. And lots of heavy armor coming out from CBEL as well. Interestingly enough, I thought CBEL was quite the medium armor, but does look like a lot of heavy armor. A couple of monks for either side, but looks like a kid here from CBEL going in with a triple cavalry with the Yanyudao, Winged Hussars, and the Daggerack Lancers. I do think it's going to be a bit difficult for CBEL. Actually, no. Generally, Eon has slightly less troops by the looks of it. That might be just me, but it looks like someone from Eon didn't load in on time. It does look like only 14 players are loading in. Oh, Noryun coming in with the Iron Reapers. I'd love to see them around. Unfortunately, they're just not really good at anything. It's not their fault. Everything's just getting so strong. I don't even think they can kill Imperial Spearguard anymore. It's a sad reality. Um, it's a sad reality. Can't deal with sad reality where front gate immediately opened. So we've got an interesting double culverin. I do think control over the front gate on White Elk 4 it has been a strategy for many teams. I think the attackers have really been struggling to control that front gate or opening it up at the very least. Ooh, that is brutal. I do think that if they kept getting shot, they would have probably lost the whole unit there, but luckily the flames are not that... well, luckily they destroyed it before secondary shots came through. Using the epic culverins to destroy the siege towers should make short work. They do break both of the wall breaks here. I don't think they will focus on the towers, but surprisingly enough, that left-hand tower does seem to want to be destroyed. And it's not a bad strategy. Again, the left-hand siege tower is just not a thing. Yeah, scoring phase doesn't have unit ban. Only in the knockout phase will there be a unit ban. I do think that the unit bans in the knockout phase will help alleviate some of this same-ish choice. We do have just majority of the time it is just some variation of the cavalry. I mean, there's plenty of cavalry, lots of cavalry. We got a lot of ISGs come through, which is probably one of the unique things. But Fort Ratio with the monks fills out for most of the tier 4s. I do think Dagrak Lancers do come in now and again, but not as much as I thought they would prior to. And of course, tier 5 cavalry. Selection of that is horrendous. We do see a lot of flamers. Flamers do control the primary battle, or every engagement. We do see a lot of investment into we do see a lot of investment into the Siphonati's, and they do really control the battles, or dictate the outcome of the battles, depending on who gets the flamer in position first. Destroying the battering ram yet again. I do think it would just be easy enough just to have these guys shoot. Surprisingly, they're shooting through the wall at the pipe there. So a little bit of targeting issues, if I do say so. Shooting up. But we do have a 14v15 on our hands. Does look like one of the Eon members did DC, or did not connect. Earlier we had up to 16 Eon members, so that's really upsetting here. Gotta be an uphill battle. I'm not going to give them any pity, but I do think the referee kind of needed to make sure that there was a 15v15 before starting this battle. Or did he just load in just now? That's weird. There's 15 Eon, 15v15, but I cannot see the 15th player. Let's count how many heroes are on the field. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, no 15. Maybe the Polac's 15? Alright, another way is to check who is missing on the list. I'm not that good with names. Alright, there he is. Got a lot of mortaring being done right now. Okay, he's there. This guy is right there. I think this will be pretty difficult to find out who is the missing UI right now. It does say 15v15, so it'll be less egregious as it is right now, but that's besides the point. We got some lot of counter mortar fire coming out. Pretty difficult to pressure Seabell in this scenario when you're getting pressured by their own mortars. I do think one of the difficulties for the attackers is the placement of artillery, and see if you can get more pressure on the enemy while minimizing the amount of losses you take. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised that they shot all of these mortars and did not really get very many kills across this wall, but then again, not very many people would have moved across this wall. Another set of artillery should come through. I don't believe that Seabell is holding back the artillery. They're just waiting for them to go into position to place it down. The mortars did a really good job at delaying the fight, nonetheless, trying to take out some of the mortars there on the left and the right hand side. The more losses, the more damage you take. Again, like this is one of the interesting parts. You would love to kill the unit, but just damaging them and watching them walk all the way back. This Fort Russia was heavily damaged, in fact. Half of the units are basically dead. Eon makes a move and kind of uneven approach here. Got majority of folks there on the right hand side, as the left hand side gets kind of smacked in. Really going to just see a unfortunate turn of events. I think Eon should pull their attack. This is going to more or less turn out for the worst. We have the Imperial Spear Guard just kind of roasting in fire, and most of the other infantry just getting oblivion to death. Daggerak Lancers still make their way through the Fort Brascio. Again, not the best of things to see. Fort Brascio really shouldn't be struggling at holding back the Daggerak Lancers, but they do have a habit of going through, taking minimal damage. Doing that attack, doing the side swing does seem to give them like maximum damage resistance, which is definitely not something that is fun. So Eon takes a heavy L right now, and I don't think it's a recoverable. I mean, they would have to use all of their artillery to kind of really beat them out, because that start was very weak, coming in from two sides, one side getting destroyed. Seabell easily just manhandles the attackers. Not at all what I expected from a two-pronged attack. You really got to be careful how you start attacks as well, because if one side meets heavy resistance, the other side needs to start moving twice as fast, because the forces that are diverted here, where you would need to crush whatever the main force here, so that you have less of an issue when they come back. And definitely how they were set up did not help them at all. A lot of monks to deal with. ISG are not the best unit to kind of kill them. Definitely good for soaking up damage, but that's all they really can do in that scenario. Monks will easily output more than enough damage to kill the whole unit in quite a few seconds. One of the difficult things about monks is that their protection comes from their heal. I mean, I'll put it this way, the heal itself is rather weak. but it's there. And they also have if they go to offline, they have another heal when they get critical. So monks can definitely be the frontline tanker, at the same time frontline damage. Never really a bad time with monks holding the line, because they are very deadly when units walk into them. But as you can see here, keeping them at bay does wonders, as it allows you to deal with them. Once you walk into the monks, it becomes way worse. So, again, with the funnel here, nice two-pronged attack. We got some setup here on the right, good setup on the left here, very tight area. I don't think it was going to be easy to deal with, especially, but they got their backs to the wall. Eon sees nice catches a daggering lance charge. Yan Yudao comes roaring through, does mess up the Fort Rushers really easily, very fast in fact. Keeping that back line nice and clear, though. Dread Unleashed just wipes them out. Not at all what you want to see. Coming in very strong for Seabell. Coming in from different directions as well, making Eon suffer heavily from every direction. I don't think Eon's got very much time left. They can't set up for anything. They would have to break down the front gate, go straight towards the A point if they want any shot at extending this battle. But I'll be honest with you folks, I wouldn't want to, mainly because very minimal losses coming out from Seabell. They lost just over 200 units in this entire battle, while 700 over units have been lost for Eon, so the unit difference is crazy right now. But nevertheless, I would definitely try until the very last second. You never know. You gotta give your best shot for these things. Might make a difference. Maybe you learn things. Another battle here. Seabell being very aggressive because they know they can be. Battle starts off pretty in favor of Seabell. Cavalry does come in, making a hole into that line, but unfortunately the second cavalry did not make as much of an impact, and the moles are really what messing up a lot of what Eon is trying to do, getting shot out. We definitely had the Chevaliers just mowing down that Flamers, along with all the cavalry. Now, making a mess at the back line, I do think it will be a bit difficult.
Child's play.
Does see a good performance out from that Yan Yudao versus the Daggerack Lancers. I don't think the Daggerack Lancers were in charge mode. Not one to complain that Daggerack Lancers are losing to a tier 5 cavalry. I just do think that while charging, Daggerack Lancers are virtually impossible to kill for the most part. As you can see, very minimal losses for the defenders, heavy losses for the attackers. I'm surprised how many they lost in each of the engagements, kind of underestimating the impact from Eon, considering they did actually get quite a bit. But of course, with all 3 battles done, normally with a 4 battle rotation, maximum of 4 battles, Seabell did beat them 3 times, so the difference was ever so mounting. Killing twice over does make it very much more difficult in the next one, because you got to make that margin back. Nevertheless, I did expect it. This Seabell is probably the top dog in this lineup or matchup. So I wish Eon luck in the next battle. I don't think MJ has much luck in their battle against BODS. Oh. man, I probably won't stream tomorrow. I am feeling a bit sick. Ooh, hope it passes. I think I ate something wrong. I will still be streaming the CB. I will still be streaming the battles. Just I won't do my regular stream for tomorrow, mainly because I'm just too sick to do it. Thinking about just relaxing a bit more. There's Subutai. Subutai? Yeah. Similar name, probably a little bit different actually. I remember Lechen. Lechen's been has appeared several times. Pika Pika, probably not. Maybe did appear last season, last tournament, but I don't remember. Of course, I don't remember anyone from Eon. I doubt in general, Eon is a return or an old team. Well, one at least unrecognizable to me. Do you think I believe I think I remember Nerve? Nah, SK Black is definitely not something I've seen before. I'm not sure if Seabell is originally from whether or not Dorian is from Seabell. I do hear he's a very good ranked player, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys do ranked, and they do very well, in fact. Nevertheless, I do wish Eon luck. They have probably one of the better teams in the tournament. I could probably sum it up in kind of like the best teams for each of the categories. I mean, BODS probably going to be top 4 at the very least. CBEL definitely going to be a top 4. ECL, not very much competition. Definitely could be a top 4. They are more of a top 8 team for me. Again, not really getting that coordination down pat. We have 2 new contenders from Group D, but these guys are again unfamiliar. I'm unfamiliar with DZ and QAT. Maybe QAT. Probably I've forgotten. Maybe they have appeared before. Not in. Don't remember entirely. But I definitely do wish both teams luck in this endeavor. Getting hit by a lot of artillery is definitely not fun. And using a lot of artillery is definitely not fun. Not to mention high-tier artillery. A lot of the epic ones are coming through. I do think people have a lot of artillery, and I do think that's from the Mighty Bandits that has been released. I haven't actually done it myself, but I do think people have been grinding for that artillery, and fairly easily, too. Been seeing it in regular matches as well. Not so much in ranked, somehow. Ranked, you would normally see a lot of sweats. Throw out a lot of artillery, but for some reason in normal sieges you see a lot of that being thrown out. So I'm wondering what the holds up for. They do think that it is quite. Teams have 15v15, so we should be seeing the start of the battle shortly. I do think I'll probably send a message over to... Send a message over to the guys balancing. I'm not sure about you, but I do think I'm running into a lot of problems with Daggerack Lancers being super tanky for no reason. They seem to get maximum damage resistance at random time. I mean, like, what I'm saying is that I do 4,000 damage, then all of a sudden I do 400 damage for no reason. Just want to complain a bit more since I won't be complaining for tomorrow. But here we are for the second battle. Eon definitely looking worse for wears in terms of number of units. Coming out with the quadruple tier 4s. We got 1, 2, 3 quadruple tier 4s. Definitely think triple tier 4s into the tier 2, tier 3 coming out is not a bad lineup. It's just very odd that I can't really predict the lineups too much depending on how they're set up. Maybe with the cheaper Camel Lancers and the Imperial Spear Guards being super cheap, Fortibraccios and the Halberdiers kind of good-ish. I do think Halberdiers do a little bit better against the monks than the Fortibraccio. Fortibraccio's innate knockback kind of makes up for a lot. I do think Stun on Brace is very overpowered in the grand scheme of things. Probably in the future. I mean, like if I was balancing this game, I'd probably change Stun on Brace to kind of knockback on knockback while bracing. Not really. Not there's a lot of unbalanced things that are very terrible. Very terrible things to kind of both face and to having to deal with, or I mean, like just generally just having to deal with. Cause I mean, a long time ago, I lost my Royal Janissaries, Silidars, they're now named, to Village Watchmen, just standing there, and I tried to kill them, but it didn't work. A lot of units really, I think the Stun on Brace kind of deal with a lot of the Pike units is more obnoxious, mainly because it's very difficult for people to contend with. So we got some cannons fire being shot straight through that front gate. Very surprising. Keeping that front gate might open it entirely. Someone does hop out. Does look like they gotta be careful. That mole would make short work of that poleaxe depending on how they're set up. I think the poleaxe would probably be able to take 2 rotations of skill before dying. Barely touching. Really need to get those heroes off of that front gate. I do think the front gate does go down. They tried their very best to block that, but no sacrifices for units, no sacrifice for heroes. So we're off to a good start for Seabell picking up the front gate. Gives him another avenue in, along with the left and the right hand side. Siege Tower is about to make it to the wall. So definitely think that Eon will get closed in. Gotta see some Seabell action in the back, maybe. Fortibraccio probably making a run for it before the tide of units come through. Unfortunate here, kind of out of position. Daggerack Lancers make short work of the Fortibraccio. Very surprising that the hero plus the Daggerack Lancers did make short work of that, but it does look like the monks are able to pick up quite a few of them. I don't think that Daggerack Lance come out unscathed, but definitely picking up 2 units for that Daggerack Lance is a big pickup coming out for Seabell. The array of defenses is very weak on the backside. Really shouldn't defend on the backside if your team cannot get to you in time. So spreading yourself thin, definitely 2 guys being outliers on the supply point here. if you to go solo, definitely think coming in with faster units like cavalry in the back here, catching some small skirmishes would have been way better. Seabell totally taken a very familiar approach coming in from to the base point here. So this will, or maybe a split. Definitely do think a small contingent of 2 units heading towards the supply point could be the main goal as Seabell kind of presents themselves in the center line. When I see something like this, I definitely switch over to the supply point and hold back next to the whatever this gate thingy is. Definitely got to be careful about being baited here into a fight in the center. Straight up just facing each other, bombarding each other into oblivion. Definitely aiming those those Bacanetti gunners too far away. Hello, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I do hope you are enjoying the stream. The Imperial Spear Guards should realistically just be, should just spread out a bit more. The 2 piles need to spread out into 2. Now, the attack on the supply point has kicked off. We got Winged Stars, might see a charge. Does see a good charge. Stopped off, cut off by the Border Brushers with Medal. We'll see a trickle back from Eon. Exposed Flamers with Medal moving on to protect. Not the greatest right now, as more troops are probably funneling through. Seabell does only want to look to hold this supply point. I'm actually pretty impressed how the remaining forces from Eon could not take back that supply point and definitely getting burnt up by that flamer. The A point now completely exposed. I didn't expect the supply point to be so easily gotten by Seabell. I think Seabell would have probably had to take a little bit more losses. Yep, Seabell did win the first game. It's pretty much a wash with this. I do think Eon being down so much right now. The losses in the first battle were pretty hefty. They did pretty well with bombarding them back with artillery, but the thing is that Seabell also had a lot of artillery to fire back. So I do think I'm underestimating the, well, maybe it's not the flamers that I'm underestimating. I do think this was kind of strange to me, but maybe it's because a lot of the units were damaged coming out from the center pile, and that back pile really putting on the pressure coming into the supply point. Unable to heal, unable to get new units, gave the defenders a very difficult time. When you can't win even against a small number of units. Not to mention a Flamer Shield combo along with the Medals and the Borderashiers. Love to see the Medals out on the field. I do think their passive is kind of weak sauce. You really need to stack that up quite a few times before they become monsters on the battlefield. But nevertheless, I really would love to see a rework, see them a little bit more upfront tanky, having them be able to actually stop cavalry a bit better, and having them to deal with other infantry a little bit better, having them not be pushed around. Kind of like how the monks don't get pushed around, but the monks are very glass cannony. They do a lot of damage, but they're very squishy. Just very difficult to deal with, since you have to get through basically 2 health bars worth of health, because they all got that massive heal plus the regular heal. They're basically like berserkers, but better. And I'm beginning to see that more and more, because the heals that they get for Doctrines is quite overpowering. Not at all what I expected from... not at all the kind of balance I would expect from Doctrines. In general, I do think units shouldn't really get Doctrines that are this powerful. It's kind of insulting for the most part. they're basically better than Reggie and guards when it comes to heal. Guaranteed heal on the first hit. And stunned a lot here. Again, monks are very, very bad when going into attack. You really want to use them in a defensive capacity. Here comes a nice flame on, burning down that entire pile. So definitely do think that it was the flamers that really made the difference there. I'm not sure if that fireball just took them out. I hope it didn't. That would be very unfortunate. Took out 4 of them. So C-Bell could afford to, definitely could afford to lose there, but I don't know about the losses for the defenders. Defenders also losing quite a bit. An even exchange, possibly. C-Bell taking the slow approach, probably wearing down the defenders. And now with the Heaven Mortifier, definitely not something I think could... no one could really survive this amount of artillery available as well. If he dies, that's really bad. Again, Daggerect Lancers can mostly just bust right through Fortebraccio, but you really need good setup. Losing tons of cavalry right now. 2 sets of Daggerect Lancers dead. Dead here. Definitely difference in performance from the Fortebraccios are coming in pretty big. Fortebraccio from C-Bell making short work of that Daggerect Lancer and the Liaos. So the general performance of units seem to also be in favor of C-Bell. Probably better doctrines and probably better doctrine selection. That was very strange. He did do the twirly thing. Didn't see very many kills there. Coming out with a lot of cavalry. Not what you want to see, because Fortebraccios are still out in force. The Yanyadao cavalry bust right through them though. So definitely one of the stronger units. And whoa! One swing from the Yanyadao cavalry kind of just messed up that entire Liao. Or maybe 2 swings. That's brutal. A lot of cavalry coming in now. Gonna be very difficult to survive.
A walk in the park. Child's play.
Nevertheless, completely overrun right now. With most of the Fortebraccio is dead. The C-Bell switches over to mass cavalry and now throws their cavalry down the center, blocking off the supply point as they grab the base point, completely uncontested right now. And the heroes try to come up behind them to take it back. A very convincing victory for C-Bell. The surprising thing here is the even exchange in the second half of the battle. I do think the struggle here for the defenders is to pick up instead of trade, and I do think the attackers could have probably done better at scoping out the defenders, but at the same time, getting in is costly, so the losses are not unexpected. Nevertheless, congratulations C-Bell for winning. Aeon definitely need to train up to contend against someone like C-Bell, but at the same time, I gotta give you credit. I gotta give you credit for doing well for the most part on your defense. Getting that flamer was really critical in that primary attack. Burning down a good section. Your usage of cavalry is a little bit weak though, and that is less to do about. Well, I mean, it has most likely to do about how you set up your cavalry, just not being very good. Well, if anything does happen, I'll come back. Right now, we'll be waiting 20 odd minutes for the next set of battle, which will start, which will start in 20 minutes, or 19 minutes from now. And we'll be watching, well, hopefully we'll be watching WLBG versus TNK with the Observe system. I could watch the BODS versus MJ, but, it'll be kind of like in the middle of the battle, and it is better to watch the whole battle from beginning to end. I do think it's just a little bit weird watching it from the middle. Until then, I'll catch you in around about 18 minutes now. Bye. Well, see you then.
The river, it never ends, as the mountains reach to the sky. wonder if she would be a minister. What he would do. The river.
长刀在手，可斩苍龙。钱塘江上潮信来。
Ah, lol. Alright. Did we have something? No, we didn't have this matchup before. But I do see a lot of TNK's battles, I think. No, yeah, I only seen two TNK battles, which was versus SVS and versus BLK. Again, TNK loves to shoot themselves in the foot. In both in the SVS one and the BLK one, they both came down to a field battle and they shot themselves in the foot twice. They're a very interesting team that I do love to watch TNK. So I'll be waiting for the battle to start and be using the playback system in order to watch the battle. Hopefully that does work. If it doesn't work, I'll be very upset. But if it does work, it'll be great. Ugh. Oh man. The waiting is a killer for sure. The waiting is a killer for sure. All right, 2 minutes to go before the start of the next battle. You know how ridiculous it is? I'm looking at this and I'm just like, recovers some health with his first hit. Recovers some health with his first hit. I want to know how much, because it just seems ridiculous. It seems ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, I don't know whether or not the hit encompasses the slam or whether or not it encompasses the swing. Yeah, sure, why not? Make it smaller though. I'm not that hungry. Also, I mean, like, just generally, I'm very sick, so I'm not sure. I want to vomit out the crap that's in my stomach, but I don't think I can. It's been too long, and I've already eaten things that are sitting on top of it. They should have probably started the battle. Okay, not yet. Not yet. Not yet, apparently. They haven't started the battle just yet. How do I even... I'm just reading things in the meantime. How do I even... I kill... I think this 15% is way more of an issue than this one. 15% damage resistance during mounting dread makes the Yanyan cavalry incredibly tanky. Like, incredibly tanky. This 100 slashing damage being relegated to a rare makes no sense to me. Because this is what a rare doctrine looks like. This is how much... Hang on. This is how much a damage increase a rare one does. And this is how much a damage increase an epic one does. That rare doctrine increases the slashing damage by 10 more than the epic one. That seems crazy to me. That they would think that 100 slashing damage is a rare doctrine, considering that its power is beyond an epic. But I mean, it's the same thing with a long time ago with the piercing damage on these guys. This is only a rare one as well, but it's 90, which is equal to an epic doctrine. So I can have this one and the piercing one. So a lot of things just seems very crazy to me. The whooshing pikemen surprisingly did not turn out as as aggressive as I thought they would. Although I do have to say, I mean, I put these 3 doctrines on them, and they're looking pretty tanky, my dudes. But at the same time, even if I did take that off, their stats are actually not bad. Comparison to these guys' stats. I mean, again, the health line is actually really good. They have 36. They can have up to 36, I think. I think the base is 32. So the base is 32. This is like 28. These guys are like tankier though. There's that. These halberdiers, of course, I've got some doctrines on those guys. And then you got these guys, which are just like somehow weaker. Performance-wise, Prefecture Pikemen will probably end up weaker than the Wuxing in the grand scheme of things. They haven't started the battle yet. Are they waiting for me to join? I have no idea. I'm waiting for the battle to start so I can use the observer system, but let's see what happens. That being said, I could waste a little bit of time. I could waste a little bit of time doing my upload check. So I've done this one. Oh, day 4. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, I basically schedule these things 1 week after the date. So I've got all of the VODs for these House Legion leagues. House Legion League kind of backlogged onto my YouTube channel just in case you want to watch it. I do think keeping a record is very important for the most part. Keeping kind of more interesting of competitive battles around. The scoring phase has never been terribly interesting because uh, the skill difference between the team can be drastic to the point where you don't get to see the skills from either players. I mean, like, you can tell which one's the stronger team, but you can't tell which one. You can't tell the skill level between the teams. Like, you can't just start comparing. You can't start comparing like the strategies, the plays, this. I mean, mechanical skill kind of dominating right now to the extent where it's disgusting. But that, I mean, placement of uh, general placement of things is just general gameplay of things just not to my liking since there's no finesse. There's no finesse when your unit can just obliterate the other unit, and the battles don't really last long enough to get that kind of finesse. It's more or less just um, it's literally just more or less yeah, destroy the enemy as fast as possible. So, oh, thanks, Dad. Well, I'll grab my food. Ugh. Hopefully that opens up. It looked like porridge, even I thought it was porridge. All right. Hopefully this opens up shortly. I need to wait 3 minutes, so it's a little bit of a tension since I won't know when it opens up. I could just use. Sometimes using the 3 minutes on the thing allows me to tell how long it's been. All right, cool. That's good. Yeah, I don't know the password. There we go. Work. Yeah. All right, cool. Spectator system does seem to be working. I like how everyone just changed into the enemy. It would be funny if, like, oh, maybe it didn't work. Or maybe they haven't finished loading. Oh, that's not good. My lag is getting pretty bad. I'm loading and hopefully it works. Otherwise, I'll have to try to restart and see if I can get back in. I'll give it a minute. If this doesn't work, that'll be very upsetting. I was hoping it would work. Okay, I'm just going to force close this because that seems to be fuddling, messing up. Alright, try again. Sorry if I made you wait. There are other people who are streaming inside the battle. But due etiquettes, I did register for a battle, but it was cancelled. I was supposed to be watching DZ versus BMO, but that it didn't end up happening. So I'm a little bit sad about that. So I'll try one more time. If it doesn't work out, I'll probably just close up the stream. I do think this would be one of the more interesting battles. All right, one more time. Work. Yeah. There we go. Maybe I did it too fast. I logged in too fast, so they didn't finish loading or something. Or the playback system hasn't started recording. Because I think the timing. Nope. Well, it's not the first bug. Won't be the last. Destroying the siege tower on the left there. Right hand siege tower does probably gonna look like it's gonna make it to the wall. TNK throwing up their heroes up here. I'm not even sure what they're trying to get at. Maybe aiming for some artillery? Building something, but it does look like a little bit buggy. Could sacrifice themselves to get up, but the problem is that every life sacrifice for artillery is quite devastating, to say the least. I would not really want to sacrifice my life for their artillery, considering that they have 30 of them. So, if I had to sacrifice my life for each artillery, I would probably, I would be very, very scared very quickly. So if they both can get out, that'd be great. Ooh, nicely done. Ooh, longsword is tanky, but being beaten up on by 4 heroes, definitely not something he can survive. Bit too greedy. Definitely too greedy. I think the short sword should have came up once he didn't have aggro and pinned the guys. Definitely could have saved the long sword, but too slow to react. Now, this is always very concerning. It's one of the only maps where I'm very confused about which tower is actually good. This right-hand siege tower might look okay, but let's think about this realistically. There's 2 avenues for the defenders to go through, and they come up through the backhand stairs or the fronthand stairs. This section is also very small, and most of the time the attackers get boxed in here. This platform as well is not very helpful in order creating space. You need a lot of space. You don't want to be cramped up, so you need to go right across this wall. But getting attacked from behind and getting attacked from the front could easily see your front line collapses. Now, on the left-hand side, that's a little bit less of an issue. You got a lot of space because how the enemy gets to these locations is if you come from this supply point, you come up through these stairs, or you can go up through these stairs. But in the end, both of them are funneled into one set of stairs here. Not a very good look. I mean, not very good for the defenders to attack from only one direction. So you might be thinking, oh, let's come up through these back end stairs. I'll be honest with you, the division and the space between these two are huge. If one side attacks first, you can actually pull away, focusing on this side, slamming these guys really quickly, especially, or hold them there at the top of the stairs and just face the back, the guys that come into the back really easily. Does look like the attackers are finally mounting up for the attack. Does look like TNK is attacking first. I, for one, think that really should open up more of the map for TNK. I would I would be looking to actually getting units up through climbing on the wall here on the left-hand side. Dominating this left-hand side, taking out the artillery, probably be very important. Um, it's really funny when you get things like this happening. So from our perspective, there doesn't seem to be a platform there, and it does try to update the location. Well, it's falling, but it does look very weird. Lots of not doing too hot on the death here. Um, already consider like three deaths. What the hell? What is this? There's only 13 from WLBG. That's why they waited so long. There's only 13 members from WLBG, and that's why. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize until just now that WLBG has a massive deficit right now in two whole players. These guys got a serious uphill battle here. We got a lot of Mermiones just charging in, smashing each other. Shield Maidens barely holding on as Imperial Spear Guards look to shore up the angle. We do get a secondary push as well, getting a good angle for both sides. Shaggy Grenadiers throws in, does a devastating grenade attack. Cannot get through those Imperial Spear Guards by the looks of it. Really can't bust through them with the Portabraccio, can't bust through them with the Mermiones. What can you bust them through? You can't. With enough Imperial Spear Guard, they spread out the damage just enough with the monks, and they are able to kill them. WLBG definitely should not spread themselves thin in this case. The defenders are looking worse for wear, is already losing on two fronts here. Mostly the Imperial Spear Guards holding up and the shoring up the front. No Portabraccios by the looks of it. Like Imperial Spear Guards just walking right through. This was to be expected. I mean, like, I don't doubt that Imperial Spear Guards are strong right now. Definitely one of the better infantry, especially in the tier 4 category. Not very many things can actually deal a sufficient amount of damage to them. Monks, sort of. I mean, monks really requires you to be right on top of them. And even then, a good old hero can smack the monks just enough to cause a massive issue. I like how this one unit is making it a problem for so many people. So many units trying to get past it. Obviously, you never defend the B section. If the A section gets taken, you never defend the B. If the B gets taken, you never defend the A. Mainly because the base point is actually very exposed, coming in from multiple angles as well. And the base point is very exposed. Well, it's very easy to bypass defenders there on the wall. And uh, if you're at B, you'd have to rush back to the base point, and you just collide in this section here, which is really good for the attackers if they get to fight you in a straight lane like this, especially since the defenders will probably be in this corner here. And that corner is, I mean, like, any corners usually have a lower performance out from anyone that takes a corner. And that's just very unfortunate. It's just how it is. You can't really do anything about that. Where's that longbow? I saw some shots come through. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Oh, there he is. Wow, am I blind or what? Well, can he get those? Yeah, he does. He got two flamers so far. Can he get a third? Taking out those flamers is massive. Alrighty. I mean, a lot of artillery has been used for the defenders, but not very many for the attackers. TNK has always just been kind of like this team that just doesn't really commit with the artillery as much. Honestly, I definitely think that throwing in more would be the thing. This is a sad thing The Murmyalonas cannot even destroy the Imperial Spear Guards in the first place, and considering that the hero doesn't just instantly get wrecked as well, Imperial Spear Guards literally just stand there and tank the charge, even though it's one of the strongest charges in this game. You get hit with a double 3,000 hit. I mean, like, Imperial Spear Guards reduces that damage by 60%, so they'll only be taking, like, what? They'll be taking, like, what? 1,200 damage? 1,200 damage, maybe? 1,200 damage times 2 times 2, so 1,200 damage 4 times. That's not enough to one. That's not enough. That's not enough to actually kill anything, and that's not even accounting for the armor as well. It's very surprising that you would see these Falconettis just aiming awkwardly, but I mean, you could get a good angle there straight onto the stalwarts. I'm surprised that they didn't. The stalwarts are just kind of sitting there out in the open. I mean, like, could you treb that? I'm pretty sure this back wall can be trebbed. I mean, I've been trebbed many times when they take in this wall and they just shoot trebs here, which is normally these two trebs that land on the back panel here. Obviously, this stairs is basically a death trap. Never like seeing getting hit by that. TNK goes for the back. I think they're a bit slow though. I think definitely should just charge straight in if you're looking for the back section. The defenders are making their last stand here, and they have begun fighting, but coming out of this corner, I don't think there's going to be very much space remaining. Fortibraccios get ran over by the Imperial Spear Guard. We've got some Shield Maidens probably going to try to chop their way through. Unfortunately, not in Cover Commando mode, not the strongest. Whoa! Brute force with the Daggeract Lancers, but surprisingly holds strong. Heavy damage, though. Yanyanao Cavalry makes a much better effort into the enemy. Now, here's the problem. We have a couple guys in the back section here, and heavy losses already committed to this force. The forces may look even, but considering the matchup, we have Shield Maidens, Imperial Spear Guards versus Imperial Spear Guards, and Fortibraccios. The Fortibraccios are at a disadvantage since it's not enough of them, and definitely coming in from the same direction. I would definitely turn these Fortibraccios to the side here, but we got some Daggeract Lancers coming in to kind of finish up the battle. More Daggeract Lancers should easily clean up both of those units very easily. The only problem is the heroes from WLBG making it real difficult to finish them off. But a respawn comes through. That is good for the defenders. Yanyanao Cavalry charges in, comes in with a big swing. The tides have turned yet again, so does look like the defenders does clear out the back line. Now we have a rush towards the base point just by a single hero, though. Or two heroes, in fact. We got some Yanyanao Cavalry finally making it here. Finishes off that pike. We should see a respawn really quickly here. Yanyanao Cavalry actually makes a mess of the Fortibraccios. Very upsetting. Fortibraccios actually do end up finishing off the Yanyanao Cavalry, and the Murmyalonas get trampled by the camels and ran over by the Shield Maidens, easily picking up back the base point. 5 minutes left to go. TNK really needs to mount up another attack. We got some interesting outriders here. They're pretty tough, if I do say so, but they are a tier 3 unit. I mean, that was a pike militia that basically killed them there, along with the Shield Maidens. Even outnumbered, WLBG is finally making use of their teamwork right now. WLBG, in my books, is probably the better of the two teams, but being down 2 players does make this more of an even playing field. A direct confrontation is probably the best thing that WLBG wants, and also, considering that TNK does not, usage of artillery is fairly low. But I would not be surprised if TNK does take this battle, does go for a second try towards this backline. And this is the problem when you go for the same strategy twice, is that WLBG is twice as prepared We got some throws straight into that pile. That Fort Rusher takes some heavy damage. Flamers as well up, and if those balls hit those flamers, they could explode, causing massive damage to their own units, but they're on the left, so they're a little bit out of the way. Unable to break through. More Fort Rushers do come. Not really the best pushing unit, but definitely should not be afraid to use their units in an aggressive manner. The only problem is it will take some time for the Road Rushers to kind of beat each other into oblivion. We have some, uh, we finally have some cavalry make their way through. The Anyanao cavalry does make a mess of things, as usual. So brute forcing with most of the Road Rushers, actually taking heavy losses, pushing through in that scenario. We also don't have anyone attacking the base point. WLBG is not doing too well now. I do think that the heroes are dying, which is very bad considering that there is plenty of Fort Russia, but they're not moving up towards that supply point. And we might see an attrition down. WLBG is mostly just surviving on serfs now. I'm pretty sure they're almost out of high tier units. They're pretty much out of high tier units. Probably 4 left if we're lucky. Fort Brascio is here in the back line, actually does get clocked out. We should be seeing another set from TNK. TNK is also doing really badly on the hero front, losing quite a few. There's 7 guys that has 1 health left, and coming in with half measures, outnumbered here. TNK really needs to stop rushing and set up because these guys are about to lose their units and lose their lives. If TNK loses the heroes, that is even worse moving forward. But nevertheless, there's only 2 minutes left to go. TNK, TNK, good luck. You really need to use more artillery right now. I would definitely flood this section on the backside with grape shots. It's pretty dangerous to come through this panel here. Better just go through the bottom section. But nevertheless, it does look like they cannot push Fortebraccios into Fortebraccios. That has kind of been the thing. You really need something else to take the head, and can't really have Fortebraccios be on the attack like that. Now, it's a lot of serfs for TNK. Very much surprising that TNK could not take this battle. I like how that Dagger Lancer just pulverized through, and it's just like, oh man, how much damage was that? So we have Stalwarts yet again, probably. Ah, nice epic one. Gets quite a few people from this distance. I think it stops around about here. If they move a little bit closer further south, it would be a really great grape shot. Um, the Stalwarts actually just need to advance straight into the center of that. Fortebraccios get into the center of that after all of that time. 20 seconds left to go. They'll need to start capping for about 14 seconds, but I don't think that's possible, considering that there are only 6 heroes from TNK and there are 7 heroes from WLBG. So WLBG is definitely better on the hero front, able to kill off TNK. Now completely at a disadvantage, though, in terms of units. But nevertheless, well done, WLBG. You were down 2 whole players, and you still managed to pull it off. TNK, I question your strategy, I question your skill, but not only that, I mean, I question a lot of things. It was a 15v13. Each player down is a massive advantage. Massive advantage. So massive that, I mean, assuming equal skill, it's almost untenable. Like, you cannot honestly tell me that if you were outnumbered, that you could make up the difference. assuming equal skill, two players, even one player is a massive difference because he has he will make like to overcome that difference is of a single player. Like when there's 14v15, when there's a lot of people, that difference is only 1/15th. But in order to like think about it, you basically have one extra person, and then you have people getting locked up with the other person, and that means that one person easily wins those smaller battles. So you have 2-on-1, and then that 2-on-1 becomes 3-on-1, and that 3-on-1 becomes it's like a knock-on effect where it's just impractical to fight back. You can fight 2-on-1, maybe. Good luck with that. I mean, there's very few times I've been able to pull off a 2-on-1, especially when heroes are involved. Unit-wise, not so bad, since there are a lot of units that can just wipe out 2 or 3 units really easily. And but when we're talking about like fighting and the whole teamwork thing, getting those one-off battles, really you gotta really play above and beyond the other person. But when you're talking about similar skill level, you gotta watch yourself. TNK, I'm, I'm telling you to step up your game. WLVG is down 2 players, so the fact that TNK lost is an absolute tragedy because it just shows how weak they are as a team. And I mean, like, perfectly good criticism here. You're not doing yourselves any favor by being unable to defeat a team of 13. Even if it was like the best 13 players in the game, you definitely give them a harder time. Your first attack was really good, mainly because WLPG made the mistake of splitting themselves up in the first place, and they couldn't deal with your Imperial Spear God anyway. All right, gotta wait 3 minutes before the start. Hmm. Waiting 3 minutes is a pain. Holy shit, I think eating food has made it worse, my condition. My body's just rejecting food right now. I don't know, man. I love food, but when I feel sick to my stomach, I don't know what to do. Hopefully I feel better tomorrow. I have food in front of me, but hopefully this battle doesn't take too long.
for our future.
I don't say the word, 'cause you look at every day. And you got out to see, 'cause you give up easily. Alrighty, we actually get to see the unit selection phase. Oh! And WLBG has 15 players, so this is going to be... Well, I thought that having... If TNK could send us to a field battle, but with the last two players from WLBG actually coming, I don't think that's possible anymore. The surprising thing here is the number of shield maidens. We have 5 shield maidens being deployed. Not very many Yanyudao cavalry, surprisingly. Not very many cavalry in total, but there is still a substantial number of cavalry from cavalry coming out. Mostly the camels is the weird pick. Camels and the Daggerack Lancers. TNK using a lot of cavalry. So if WLBG takes care of that cavalry difference, I think WLBG will definitely just wipe the floor with TNK. WLBG might be surprised by a couple of the cavalry. The Shield Maidens should do okay. They do tend to trade up. They do tend to trade very well against cavalry. Even against Daggerack Lancers, they kind of trade 1-to-1 actually, no. They can actually just outright kill them if they have the CC immunity doctrine. Because that CC immunity doctrine is very important for shield units, or units that are deal damage. In fact, like, the shield maidens have an extended range also. So that makes it very much useful against cavalry. So they will do very well against cavalry. They normally hit at the same time, or generally hit near similar timing. But shield maidens will definitely rock the cavalries. And looks like we got a much better replay this time. No scuffed missing terrain. It's a little bit sad though that that sword mode does better at stopping or dealing with cavalry than shield mode, even though while they're in shield mode, they do have basically immunity from cavalry charges from the front. Normally this is shown through formation, but I do think in general shield maidens have a passive which makes it impossible for units, cavalry from the front to actually break through their block, since they block even unblockable charges like the Winged Hussar. The only problem is that while in formation, the Winged Hussar will pass the Shield Maidens, and then the Shield Maidens will turn around to hit them, only to get hit by cavalry from the back. So, I would say don't be afraid of having your Shield Maidens withstand a cavalry charge. They can definitely do it, especially in Spear mode. The only problem is that what comes after is dealing with the cavalry. The cavalry are not exactly easy as they can kill, but with sword mode they should fairly be simple to deal with. For the most parts, you would be surprised how much damage the sword does. I mean, compared to the spear and the shield, about 800 damage versus like 2,500 damage. Like I've been hearing some numbers like 3,000 a hit, which is very scary. Any unit that does around about 3,000 damage is terrifying. You got the Varangian guards that hit somewhere around 3,500, which is pretty scary indeed. Unfortunate thing is that a lot of units are very much weaker, to say the least, than alternatives. As a dedicated shield unit, I think it's kind of upsetting that shield maidens don't really get the ability usage out that it really should. What I mean is that, like, since a lot of their power is kind of loaded into their Cup Commander, they don't have the flexibility, like using a charge, got the Shield Smash as well. I do think the Shield Smash, the Shield Smash and the charge should definitely get a buff. Guardian itself and the Cover Commander are not bad, but in retrospect, they're quite stock standard. Special formation buff. Maybe if the Guardian, if they merge the Guardian and the Cover Commander into one, that would probably be cool. Passively increases the armor of those near, including heroes. That would be cool. Change it over and give it a new ability would be cool. Maybe a spear focused debuff. Armor down, maybe. Armor down would be nice. There's not very many units with an armor down, so that's why that would be a point to have in spear mode. You get close, Cup Commander, stab him with the new armor down ability, switch over to sword and just crush him. TNK. I'm not sure about the unit movements getting caught. Again, like, loss of a monk is pretty devastating. Here is a big problem. This middle siege tower could easily just get overwhelmed on this left-hand side, or the guys at the A point would just get overwhelmed in general. Going straight through the front gate to the B section, so it will be a rush towards the base point. In this case, I think the defenders should just give up B and go straight to the base point. I would not even try to defend this. Your forces on this side are cut off. Your best bet is to actually just go all the way around or block this set of stairs and you can retreat. Kind of foolish to fight, actually, but not foolish to catch a couple of stragglers. Lord Brascio not even raised, does a massive damage. Massive charge straight through the Shield Maidens. Shield Maidens take a lot of damage, but the Doctrine that reduces the charge damage will definitely come in handy. So the stragglers do get taken out. Base point is straight onto the base point, in fact. WLVG wants to end this once and for all, almost immediately. Only one Shield Maiden holding the point. Heroes are going to stack one at a time, but the problem is that where's the units? You really need to get units in on here, not just your heroes. And again, would have been a better strategy just to go straight to base point, as base point is completely open. WLVG just needs to keep killing the units that are there, because the difference will increase. The units, the heroes that are on this point without a unit is going to become a burden. Surprisingly enough, the cavalry makes up the difference. The Imperial Spear Guards also makes up the difference, easily manhandling the remainder of that force. But I'm just very surprised, very surprised that the attack on the base point was not more successful. Big losses for both sides, I think. A lot of straggling in this back section here. WLVG sacrificing those guys at the base point really puts a lot of pressure on TNK, but it alleviates some of the distraction here, which was clearly outnumbered. Moving on into this next section, it is quite even in terms of units. Artillery is still worse for wears, about 20 up for the attackers. Never really one to scoff away at artillery, but TNK, you better use those 19 artilleries to survive, because this is a 12 whole minutes of defending. And that's 12 whole minutes that WLVG can use to murderify your units with their artillery. And I'll tell you right now, there is no unit alive that can survive the number of artillery of that can survive 38 artillery. The only way you would survive that is that if they use a grape shot and they just overkill one unit. I mean, like, again, the most funniest thing is grape shots do all of their damage all at once, so they only hit one target, and if that target is dead, if it gets hit by 1, 2, or 3, the other projectiles don't keep on going. They stop on that target because they all hit and then the damage is calculated, which is always hilarious. I don't know why they sacrificed the camels there. Again, camels are very tanky and they're not anything to scoff at or to ignore. One of the most annoying things about the camel is that they have stun on grace by default, so they will stun. I think they have a hit limit of like 5. They also stun cavalry by default, and it's basically like constant as well. So camels can be a absolute absolute pain in the neck to deal with when they have a lot of infantry kind of covering them. Since they're big, bulky units that you need to get by, and they're really difficult to kill. Or, I mean, as long as you don't have flames, but... do you have flames? Yeah, you do. They have flames. Did one of WLVG's die? God damn it, man. I thought you had 15 players, but instead you have 14 players. What is this? What is this? It's one up from the last time, but I swear to God, it was 15 players. Alright, lots of artillery being used, which is a really great start for TNK. If TNK wants to stay in it, they really need to make sure that the artillery usage is good. And already we're seeing some great hits coming out onto the enemy. Only problem is that they're moving into positions where it's become more and more difficult to hit. Whoa! Sacrificing your life again! I don't understand this concept of sacrificing your life when you know you can't get to it. I mean, maybe he thought he could. But, all honestly, this is just basically a shootout. You definitely need more than one hero to cause a distraction and destroy your target. Being defended by several heroes as well. There are, like, at least 10 heroes on this section of the wall. I don't even think you can deal with 3. Short swords are very tanky, but at most they could probably sustain around about 3 heroes attacking them. Maybe 4, depending on... Whoa! I just went straight through the floor there. Maybe 4, but... So there's a tag on that artillery. I would just move in... I would just move out of the way for the artillery. I would not actually... I wouldn't actually try to destroy it. Sometimes just dodging is way better. Oh, what the hell happened here? No, another hero about to die.
In the park.
Not good. I think that's his unit as well. Should see. Oh no, wait, never mind. Ooh, those flamers. Definitely think that you could set up a shield wall here and just flame the front line down. Which might happen in a second. Got some shield maidens in the back line. Strangely retreating in an awkward fashion. Get some free kills. Don't mind if I do! Monks are on it with a spin. I do think they really need to take out the slam after the spin. Not the interaction itself where you activate the Moon Crescent. The fact that you don't have to activate Moon Crescent is probably my point. You get the free slam no matter what, so I think you should activate the second ability in order to get the benefits from it instead of just getting it by default. Nevertheless, I do think just generally monks are just overtuned as it is. They deal so much damage, they heal just enough. They're basically better berserkers, but more defensive. Berserkers can get in on the fight and instantly in on that. Surprisingly, the flames didn't actually go through. Oh, very questionable. I thought the flamers didn't hit, which is so weird. Which also begs the question. There's only one left now. Now, coming down the stairs, I will say, never one for stairs, but they're pretty awful. TNK could easily hold these stairs. They do hold the back stairs. We got Foot Russia moving up. WLVG is making a fool of himself right now as coming in from 3 different directions, and TNK able to deal with each direction pretty easily. Except this new direction, which is Foot Russia. About to see some heavy resistance. Monks trying to get in on it. Doing very well. In fact, TNK just kind of standing there in front. Now slapping the... Now they get slapped out. Nope, random flamers. Where are you going? Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Flamers. 2 sets of flamers. You have so many flamers here about to be closed in. Stairs again. Range unit. Flamers just don't have a good time on flame units.
Child's
Wow,
play.
that is not looking good. WLVG,
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
will it actually come down to a field battle? Because that is quite upsetting considering how strong WLVG was showing themselves to be. Guess they can't overcome the difference of a single player while attacking. Attacking is always a little bit harder than defending. But at the same time, I think WLVG should have the skills to deal with TNK. One of the problems, I think, is they're coming in from very obviously disadvantageous attack positions. They really need to open. They really need to open the. Really need to open up their defenses. Should really take a look at the entire defense as a whole. This back section is always very exposed, and if you rush down, could cut them off. A two-pronged attack should see a good result. I think attacking this lane here and attacking this lane here should see that the defenders really decide whether or not to defend this base point or whether or not to defend the supply point. Whichever side is weaker, you definitely put more pressure on it. But again, you need to have that kind of... You need to kind of split the defender's decision and make them show a weakness. Never mind that, there is 2 siege ballistas, so if you turn that corner, be definitely a bad day. In retrospect, around about 3 minutes 45 seconds ago, WLVG is not looking great. They only have enough units for a single attack, I would say. Probably actually down to their last unit for the most parts. A few have spares. I think, I do think a few spares around. Only one person really on their last unit, or any good unit anyway. It's a bit of a stalemate right now, as WLVG probably doesn't know what to do. They will have to decide eventually. Shield Maidens on the wall are difficult to deal with. Did take out one of the heroes there. The mortaring's too slow. It's too slow. Not enough mortars being placed to really pump the defenders full of holes. And they're running out of time. This is a very interesting start right now. A two-pronged attack. Really need to just get past that Portbrasio into that back line there, and mostly exposed for this section here. I would definitely win this. That section here, getting a two-pronged attack here, finishing up this section here would be super important, but you also need to get onto this section, so I would rush my way through that center line, and WLVG is losing. The battlefront was just not in their favor, as the Siphonatis absolutely murderify this this section of the army. Now completely outnumbered. I think WLVG does not have a hope after that terrible loss.
In the park.
Cavalry kind of running in now, but I don't think it will make a difference. The Anyadao cavalry swipes through, does a massive swing. I do think it's actually kind of cool watching the Anyadao cavalry just slap through, but at the same time, they are definitely overpowered. One of the stronger units in this game. Nevertheless, WLVG unfortunately could not close out the game. It will come down to a field battle, and I will say for one, I am definitely looking forward to TNK kind of shooting themselves in the foot for a third time, but maybe they'll win. Maybe they'll win on a field battle. I mean, I know I give TNK a lot of shit, but this is the thing. They were able to commit a lot of artillery here, and I said this before that the artillery advantage, increasing it to 2 for the defenders this is way more. It's way more possible that the defenders are going to have much easier time for artillery placement, while the attackers have a much more difficult time for artillery placement. And you can definitely see that with this battle because, by the looks of it, Correct Castle is just not very good for attackers to put down a lot of artillery. So starting off strong, but coming in, starting off strong, although almost an equal exchange, the difference is actually very minimal. But in the aftermath of the next 2 battles, my goodness, look at that! Look at that first one, absolute massacre, coming in from multiple directions, getting defeated on all directions. Second time, again, getting completely destroyed in one direction, able to break through, but unable to solidify your location. Not looking good, not looking good. WLBG really needs to think about how they're going to attack. I for one think that TNK's artillery usage was definitely a step up for their defense there. Attacking, for their attack, they don't use very much artillery.
It never ends as the mountains reach to the sky.
Alright. Field battle for the last battle of day. So, again, I'll wait 3 minutes before it starts. I'm not watching this immediately, mainly because I'm not one of the observers. I was supposed to watch DZ versus MO. I think BMO has forfeited for the most part. A lot of teams have forfeited, so that's very upsetting.
I wonder if you would be a minister, what you would do.
I suspect more teams will forfeit in the future. Oh, on the Monday I can't watch the BFK versus ECL either. Alrighty, they have just started, so I'll probably be able to get in around about 3 minutes. But I definitely think that TNK's approach to field battle is single-minded. I love it, though. I love it. I definitely think they could improve their attack. Definitely should be improving on dealing with certain units. Definitely should be improving on setup. Definitely should not be letting cavalry kind of just be beaten by a few infantry. One of the things that always gets me is when cavalry just waltzes by, or you leave fortibrachers or very important units to the wayside, just ignoring them. Especially when they're in a location that is very dangerous. Or, I mean, like, there was this one example where the Chevaliers, you had 2 streams of cavalry, just ignore the Chevaliers there in the center and just walk by them. Didn't even take out the crossbows, which are very dangerous, if I do say so. So, I think, could definitely shore up a lot of targeting issues, focusing on the more deadlier unit, or more important units. That goes for a whole as well. I think what I'm seeing for a lot of these battles is the struggle to deal with some of the Siphonatis is for one, ball throwers is for one. Artillery is, of course, a major issue, so both in general, just, it's a real struggle to deal with all of the high impact, really just a general struggle to deal with the high impact units. And mitigating that doesn't seem to be working out very well. ISGs, I love them, but they're not exactly so like, considering how flamers work. They do pure damage. They do like they do special damage, so they don't have, so they're not affected by any damage reduction effects, nor is it affected by armor, which is makes it very hard to defend against. But having a high health pool is pretty much the only thing that can defend against it. And ISG do have a pretty high health pool. I think most shield units have generally a high health pool. Again, we're here on the field battle, TNK versus WLBG. This time, TNK is down a player. What is happening? Kind of a flip scenario. A lot of Fortabrachos, a lot of tier 5 cavalry. Love to see some of the alternate ones, like the Winged Hussars, Cataprex. Do see some Chevaliers, no Monastic Knights this time. Still see the Flamers out on the field. I do think, generally, if you do see the Flamers out on the field, you just avoid an attack from the side. Let's hope there is a 15th player from TNK coming. Otherwise, this is a bit awkward. A bit awkward indeed, since I miscounted. Is that 13? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, wow! TNK has 13 players to the WLBG's 15. Not a good start. Not a good start at all.